Okay. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Girty, and I'm the managing director and co-founding partner with Aspect Real Estate Partners. We're a full-service commercial real estate firm based here in Orange County. We have over 75 years experience combined in all facets of commercial, retail development, and land. We cover all sectors from tenant representation, landlord representation, investment sales, and development. And we're an active, long-standing members, proud to say, of the Santa Ana Chamber and business partner with the City of Santa Ana. Today, we're excited to introduce some of Orange County's finest business and civic leaders, Kristine Ridge, the City Manager of Santa Ana, Dave Elliot, Santa Ana Chamber President, and Fred Delariva, Santa Ana Chamber Business Development Manager. So I have Max Sabino, who's joined. He's helped put this together. He's the associate here at Aspect Real Estate Partners, and he'll be leading a informal panel discussion of the latest state of the city of Santa Ana, what's happening in the public-private sectors, and we've enlisted the expert advice from the city's civic and chamber pro-business perspectives. So I'll let Max take it away and hand it to you guys.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for the introduction, Girty. So my name is Max Sabino. I'm an associate here at Aspect Real Estate Partners. And so, throughout this crisis, my team and I, we've been working with the local Orange County cities, chambers, community leaders, and SPDC to provide as many resources as possible to help our community throughout this crisis. And so, it's the second largest city in Orange County, and home to over 26,000 businesses. Santa Ana's community and economy have not been immune to the devastating impact of COVID, just like everyone else. And so as this pandemic carries on, the discussion we've been having with our clients here at Aspect, as well as our friends, family, and associates, that discussion's transitioned away from, the impact of COVID and more towards the, the continuity and business continuity and recovery post-COVID. So, there's great uncertainty around the future of business development and economic growth. So, for the purposes of the conversation today, we've got a few of Santa Ana's top community leaders here to help provide advice, resources, and assistance in business recovery and growth. Girty?
Yeah, so to expand on what you just said, Max, the main issues surrounding business, recovery, reentry that we've heard of for us, most important is rent relief, concessions, abatements, and so on. Revenues and how they're affected, customer retention is very important. Employee furloughs and layoffs, which are unnecessary or necessary evils of this, and byproducts, and our newest health and safety guidelines that are changing almost daily. The underlying theme amongst all these challenges is adaptation and evolution of business practices. Businesses need to think creatively and try something new to thrive in the long term. For every industry, the product, the strategy can be different. So at Aspect, we've seen business owners taking this time to boost some of their social media marketing. Restaurants have offered, takeout specials and had to evolve along with the bricks and mortars and retail, building an e-commerce presence. If you're a financial or tech company, some have gotten more creative with the virtual events to keep their employees engaged at home, as well as our clients. So now's the time to rethink your business model and adapt to ensure the continuity of your business as you succeed through this recovery process.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more. And so, thinking about what you just said from a business owner's perspective, it sounds like a lot of uncertainty. And, keep in mind, for Santa Ana, a lot of the business sectors are in hospitality, manufacturing, construction, distribution, and sectors such as those, they're either unable to work from home or they're unable to offer a new product or service. So that creates more challenges with adaptation and business continuity. And so, opening up to Kristine Ridge, the city manager of Santa Ana, I wanted to ask if you could provide a brief overview of business and economic recovery recommendations post-COVID.
Certainly. And thank you, gentlemen, for having me on your Zoom webinar. I don't know what you call it exactly, but so Santa Ana, located in the great state of California, our businesses do need to follow what the state guidelines are. And they have done a pretty decent job with rolling out those industry guidelines. So for a business in Santa Ana that wants to stay open, or a business that is attempting to reopen, they will have to meet those guidelines. And I can give you a website of where those actual guidelines are located, and it's by industry. The website is covid19.ca.gov/industry-guidance/. So on there, if you're manufacturing, if you're retail, if you're restaurant, you will find a pretty robust multi-page document. But to summarize just the two most key things that you're going to need to do as a business is there's a checklist for your industry that you're going to have to go through. And that checklist will make sure that you have considered everything you need to under those state guidelines. And there's also a form where you have to make attestation that you have done certain things. Both of those documents are supposed to be posted publicly at your business in the front lobby or wherever you have access to the public. If you meet those things, the Santa Ana does not have any additional requirements, and we're not using a heavy enforcement tactic within the city of Santa Ana. We are more to trying to assist those businesses in getting open and doing what we can, and then also just helping to try to educate the businesses so that they can stay open. I know we had a little bit of a setback just yesterday with some retraction of our economy by the governor. Other things that we are doing to help businesses, and I would encourage all businesses to check out our economic development group, come to the Santa Ana website. We have a lot of valuable information out there. But one thing that we did do for retail shops and for restaurant shops is we've opened up outdoor space, sidewalks, parking lots that they can utilize. And I think that's going to become more important since we did have the governor retract indoor businesses. He did not retract those businesses operating outside, however. I haven't found that in any of the documents so far. So I think expanding out into those spaces, whether it's the parking lot, whether it's the sidewalks, is going to be really critical for those businesses to stay afloat. And we have a full set of guidelines on the City of Santa Ana website for that.
That's great. And so, in line with, services offered by the state and local government, I know a lot of business owners are asking about, economic stimulus packages. And I wanted to know if you foresee any future implementation of new stimulus packages for the business community.
I do. I think right now at the federal level, they're still arguing, and they've had a couple different packages with a couple of different names, but they do claim that they're getting close to reaching a compromise. So I do think from the federal level, we're going to see some additional monies. Early on, what they were contemplating was actually funding that could help with revenue loss. So stay tuned at the federal level. At the state level, I know that this governor, in light of some of the actions that he's taken, it is on the forefront of his mind to make sure that he is doling out assistance where needed. For us personally, we did receive some really good news, and it was the results of our mayor working very, very hard to get the state to turn over some of the CARES Act money. The CARES Act money was the very first tranche that the feds approved, and we are going to be receiving $28.6 million of that. We anticipate that coming within the next week. So for the local perspective, and I know that you might be familiar, but in the past 2 months, we already had our own small business incentive grants. We gave out about 70 of those at 10,000 or 5,000 each on that one. And on August 1st, we're rolling out another batch of business grant opportunities that are available to restaurants and to bars. And those will be in the amount of 10,000 each. So we have a lot of information on that. But the 28 million CARES money that we have yet to receive, we are going to also deploy that out, and there's a large component of it for additional business grant money. So stay tuned on that. At our local level, we've got a lot of funding that's going to be available. It'll help the businesses. A large chunk of it will also be helping our community. I think one of you had mentioned that Santa Ana is one of the hardest hit community with COVID-19. We're approaching 5,000 positive tests in our city, and we do have a higher death rate. So there is assistance coming for businesses as well as our community.
Okay. And what website should business owners go to apply for those grants?
If you go to our Santa Ana, that's santa-ana.org, and you go to our community development department, we have an economic development website that has information on there. If you also want to take an easier approach, and the second you pull up our web page, there's COVID related information. We have a lot of this information right on that face page as well. And then of course we're going to be promoting it. We'll be promoting it through all of our channels for the August 1st money, but then also the additional, and it's going to be about $3 million of additional that will be rolled out in a week or two.
Okay, that's really great, definitely. And so, I mean, so what we've been talking about, you know, the main focus right now, of course, is, you know, business retention, recovery, and, you know, employment. But I just wanted to touch base on this real quick. You know, in recent years, I've seen kind of a revival of the downtown Santa Ana area, and there's a lot of new developments planned, such as the OC streetcar and several new residential projects in the downtown, like the redevelopment of the 3rd and Broadway parking garage and First American Title residential project. And so I wanted to ask Kristine if you think this rapid growth of Santa Ana is going to continue post-COVID.
I certainly hope it is. You know, that one thing that we did with having to, you know, shut down to only essential services and being able to ramp back up. One of the things that was paramount to the city is we did not want to impede the pipeline of economic development activities. So throughout this all, we have adjusted so that we can keep developer applications coming in, we can keep inspections going on, we can keep permitting going on. So that's one thing. We knew if we didn't do that, and if you shut it all down, then the economic downturn is just going to last longer in the future. So I'm happy to report that there still is a lot of interest in Santa Ana, and we have been processing quite a bit of exciting applications. To speak to the projects that you mentioned, you know, the OC streetcar, I can't wait to have that open. I think it's just going to bring a new vibe, a new feel to the city, and it's going to be a boon to all of the businesses that are located in close proximity to it. One of the only advantages to the economic downturn is OCTA, who is the lead, and they have the contractor that's putting the streetcar in. With the lack of commerce and really the traffic, they've been able to expedite the construction on it on our street. So that's one thing that was good. They were behind a little bit on the schedule, and now I think they're probably caught up and maybe even a little bit ahead. So good news on that.
Yeah, a little silver lining right there.
The First American project, it is continuing to move forward, and as you know, this would bring 220 new residential units and over 12,000 of retail space to our downtown area. So we're keeping our fingers crossed for that opening. I think that would be great. The 3rd and Broadway, our community development staff and our planning staff has been really working very hard on that one, and we're getting extremely close to finalizing it. As you know, it's kind of a public-private partnership with the developer, but it is intended to bring a mixed-use project and redevelop a very old and aging parking structure, which for the first time I was in there, the paths are backwards on it. I don't know if any of you have been in that particular parking structure, but you're driving on the wrong side of the road. So it needs to be torn down. But with that proposed project currently, it has about 171 new residential units, 14,000 square feet of retail. And then what I'm really excited about is a 75-room boutique hotel. So I'm excited about it for multiple reasons, but I know that the businesses in the area should be really excited about all of these projects, because it's going to add, you know, a lot more foot traffic in the downtown area and much needed income for the small business owners in that area as well.
That's great. So it sounds like we've got some good news. There's some grant money and the developments are still on track. So, you know, kind of wrapping up, do you have any last advice or recommendations to help out businesses kind of right now, something someone could go do this second?
A couple of tips. Definitely for all the businesses out there, please stay in touch with our city's economic development staff and our economic development website. Don't forget, we also have a workforce center here that has a wealth of information that you can tap into. And then I'll have to give a plug for my dear friend Dave, but participating with local business organizations such as the Chamber or other downtown associations, they're great for sharing best practices and keeping everybody informed. Obviously, the Small Development Center and the SBA, they offer a lot of programs and webinars. And I think most importantly, just connecting with other fellow business owners in our city to share information can only make our community stronger.
That's great. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And so Dave, let's talk about the Chamber now.
I have to follow Kristine. You know, I'm always following her, and she's so articulate and knows so much, and then it goes to me. Unbelievable. Well, Max and David, Gary, thank you very much. Kristine, always a pleasure to share the platform with you, because you are so knowledgeable and really have a passion for what you do and what's going on in the city. So glad to participate.
No, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. You guys have been doing some great work at the Chamber. I know I've seen a lot of good stuff coming out, and you have a lot of resources on your website. So I'm glad to have you here. You guys are a fountain of knowledge.
Well, thank you.
So I just want to ask, you know, I guess my first question would be, what resources do you have really available right now on the Chamber website for struggling businesses?
So thanks, Max, for the question. So there's a few things that I'll comment on, and some of the things we've had in place for quite some time. But early on, we made a decision that we wanted to be one of those hubs of resource information for our business community. So gathering information almost on a daily basis and putting that out into our global marketplace, where it's not just our members that we're receiving information, but all non-members as well. And so we've been doing that, you know, since the first part of March, and I've encouraged Alicia to continue doing that with additional information we're getting, just like yesterday when we got information about some additional closures and some backtracking, you know, we putting stuff out. So our stuff is readily available on our website too, santaanachamber.com. But a couple other things I do want to mention when it comes to there's some things that we've been doing. We have a retention program that we started over 4 years ago, where we're actually out talking to businesses about their issues, their concerns. Are they hiring? What are they looking for? That kind of thing. So Fred, who is also on this call, has been doing that with us the last few months. And then in addition to that, we added what we call a new welcome program, where Fred is out connecting with new businesses. We started that in February, had to take a little hiatus, which gave us an opportunity to really develop a very, very strong questionnaire for our new business that are here in Santa Ana. And then on top of that, Fred has created the first 100 days of business, which is very applicable to whether you're 100 days old, 50 days old, or 5 years old, or 20 years old. So that information has been going out to our businesses as well as a resource document. And then one other thing that we're working on, which will be interesting, we're looking at a partnership with including the city and the school district and the college district in development of a workforce development app. And so we're working with an organization, a company called Jobs Mall, and we have a presentation next week, kind of see how we want to put that together. It'd be an app for businesses and people seeking employment as well. So those are just some things that we're involved in with trying to be, you know, helpful and be a major resource for our businesses.
Okay. So Fred, it sounds like you're on the front line for a lot of these projects. So how would you recommend someone interested in getting involved with the Chamber would go and do so?
Well, in terms of getting involved with the Chamber, I mean, all you need to do is simply take a call, and we can point you out to any resources that and our contacts. And if you need any help, I during my visits to new businesses and also in the retention program, I get a lot of business owners just needing help. So they ask, hey, I can't get a hold of the city for whatever reason, and we point them to our appropriate contact, and they get help right away. Or they have a question regarding their business license, or they have a question regarding any business-related issue that they may have, and we just point them to the right resources. And then if it's not a city resource they need, we point them to one of our Chamber contacts, like our membership. So if there's a member that can help that particular business, we'll forward it over to that member as well.
Okay.
So Max, I'll just add to a major role for us as a chamber is to be a connecting point. So we always have taken the theme of being a broker of solutions. So we may not have the solution in and of us ourselves, but we can try to find that solution or that connection to help our businesses.
Okay. All right. And so I know when we were speaking with Kristine, there's a few, retail and residential projects in the works, and hospitality as well. So I wanted to ask, from the chamber's perspective, are you guys currently, would you say you're targeting one specific sector right now, or really trying to help grow one specific business within Santa Ana?
So big picture, we're open for everybody. Focus picture right now, the last couple of years on the retention side, we've been focused on our manufacturing sector, which is in Orange County, our manufacturing sector is the largest manufacturing sector in the county. So 800 or 900 manufacturing companies. So manufacturing, yes, because that's also a stronger employment base because it's more employees. But more recently, our focus has been, believe it or not, in tourism. We felt like we've had a lack of emphasis in tourism, specifically in the hospitality area with the great restaurants we have and the hotels we have. So we are in the process right now of creating the Travel Santa Ana Tourism and Marketing District. Kristine has signed off on this, and we're in the process right now of meeting with our hotel GMs. Jonathan Mayer has been working with me. We've met with 4 of our GMs in the last 5 days. We have 2 more meetings this week. We have a Zoom call with about 12 of our hotels at the end of this month. We will be presenting a proposal to City Council hopefully by September in the establishment of a tourism district that will take on the whole idea of marketing, not just our hotels, but primarily our hotels, but marketing Santa Ana as a place to come and visit. Go to the zoo, go to Bowers, the different amenities that we offer. We are great proximity to the airport. We're right in the middle of going to the beach on one end or going to Disneyland on the other end. And we have some great hotels that are modestly priced. And so that's a big project that we're working on right now and hoping to come to some kind of fruition in the next month or so.
Okay. And do you think, has COVID slowed that down at all, or are you guys still?
Oh yeah, what, you mean the hotels that we've been talking to?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they took major hits. I mean, to be honest with you, some of them, a low occupancy rate of less than 10%, like in April, but now they're starting to bounce back a little. We were with one of the hotels today, one of our major hotels, GMs today, and they have been able to maintain a 50 to 70% occupancy rate most through this whole time. So, which was good. I mean, not every one of the hotels is that way, to be honest with you, but it's a thing that we really feel that we need to help them in marketing and pushing to get people to come and stay in Santa Ana and, buy in Santa Ana, visit Santa Ana, et cetera.
Right. So then, I mean, Dave, how would you kind of recommend businesses adapt right now or grow throughout this recovery?
Well, I've never been, I'm an older guy, so I've never been the biggest person in technology, but I will just say the use of technology, virtual technology and things, I think that's one of the things that our businesses will need to adapt to use. What we're finding is that even our meetings that we do virtually now, whether it's a board meeting, a council meeting, we're seeing an uptick in participation. And we know that it's because it's more convenient. I don't have to drive in. I can be a part of this. Using Zoom, I can see who's on the line if I need to, kind of watch some of the body language, that kind of thing. But I think that the use of technology is going to be a big thing. I also think that the ability to make connections, we did a little research just a little while ago about what are those key connections and key people that you need to know and have access to. I always say, for me, with the city, having access to the city manager is the biggest thing that is important to us as a chamber, with a CEO to a CEO connection point. But I think business connections are going to be huge.
Okay.
And just to add to what Dave said about embracing technology, I think it's really important, especially for the local restaurants, to really embrace the digital technologies, especially when it comes to their marketing efforts. I mean, you need to embrace such things as text marketing just to let your clients know that you're still open for business. Maybe 1 week you're allowing dine-in seating. 1 week it's outside seating. 1 week maybe no seating, but that you're still in business. So it's very important that you embrace those technologies on the local SEO level. You know, you need to optimize your Google My Business listing and things of that nature. So just to add what Dave said, you can't do business like you did pre-COVID. You need to embrace those digital technologies so your business can thrive during this crisis and during the recovery phase, which may go on for a year or two.
And I would just add on the restaurant side in particular, in those businesses that can operate on the outside, I've seen in the last couple of weeks some very, very creative restaurants in particular that have been able to move outside and really, fill up the outside dining. Because people still want to eat out. I mean, I like to eat out all the time. I don't want to fix food myself. So, but I've seen a lot of that, and I think that's cool. And I think being creative and innovative in this eventually post-COVID is going to be crucial for any business.
Definitely. Do you have any comments on that, David Girty?
No, that's all great info. I know Diane Pritchett, and you're connected pretty closely with her, Dave, next door.
Yeah, my next door neighbor, yes.
Yeah, she does a great job of promoting that part of the area, the South Coast Metro. And so we've got a lot of that. We've done some deals at the mall with Segerstrom, and it's been really helpful to have her promote the destination still, the takeout part at least.
Right. Well, I think Morton's next to us right now has put up a big tent, and I think they're getting ready to do some outside business.
Oh, that's great.
So, hey, you're thinking if Morton's is going to do it, everybody else probably jump in and do some of that too.
That's right.
Well, it sounds like you guys are doing great work, and lots of good things are coming out of this. And I think it's really cool that we could have both perspectives, both the city and the chamber, on here and get information and resources from both of you. And for anyone watching this, I'm going to be sharing the contact info for the websites and links we've mentioned at the end of the video. So if you need any more information, you can feel free to reach out to us or check out the chamber and city website. And Girty, you want to close out or have anything?
Well, yeah, unless you guys can reserve comments or questions, anybody has anything. But, in closing, we just really want to thank Kristine and Dave and Fred for your time. Is very valuable, we know, these days, and more valuable than ever, and wisdom and insights into the city. It's really great to have you two connected, because a lot of it between the elected and staff, and then with the chamber, most cities don't have that collaboration. So, it's really become, I think, one of the best live, work, play destinations. I know we've used that moniker before, but a lot of great things happening downtown in the city with, its diversity and its rich culture and history that we just love to see, to be able to kind of help it keep thriving. I know that the downtown area is really going through a resurgence, reinvigoration and redevelopment, and then also with the tech and business that some of the buildings are doing down there. So, I think as Santa Ana evolves and continues evolving, it comes out even stronger, becoming the city of the future. So without in the transportation, I think it's going to be a great place for us to be of service. So one of the other things, I think Dave said, is the Santa Ana is a chamber of broker of solutions. Is that what you?
Yeah, broker solutions.
Maybe an aspect will be the solution of brokers.
There you go. I like that.
So, feel free to have anybody, use us. I know we're trying to help out with Fred and the new business side and retention side, but, aspect, as we, stay safe and remain open, we've been here throughout trying to help clients. We have spent the first couple months learning how to deal through the SBA. We've done a lot of deals and through PPP and everything. I think we're experts now. So hopefully we don't get to a second round, but we can maybe take it up to the grants notch and some of the other higher levels that are coming out. We're figuring out how to work through this, come out better.
Hey, Dave, I have David Girty. I have a question about how do you see the commercial leasing space in 2020, the remaining of 2020 and 2021? How is this going to be affected by COVID?
Well, it's affected now. So yeah, I think you mean commercial retail maybe versus office?
Yeah, well, a little above, I guess.
Yeah. Well, retail was hit so hard so fast. I mean, just like the hotels, it was kind of shut off. I guess someone mentioned it was like a light switch, and I don't think there was a dimmer going in, right, Kristine? But you know, I'd love to turn a dimmer a little more each day. I think you know, we had a couple months of trying to figure out what rent reprieve with some of the larger landlords in Orange County. We got the benefit of dealing with kind of the big three, Irvine Company and Segerstrom, and they were in Olin. They were trying to figure out how to just manage sort of the calls that sort of trickled in to become a flood of relief questions. And it went from, I think, the retail at the front line to commercial office. And I think a lot of people went back to work, whether it was retail or office. And, you know, as leases are expiring and landlords are trying to figure out where the real market is for the future, I think retail is going to be, you know, given some more, I guess, runway for their relief to kind of make it through the end of the year. They're targeting kind of the first path was give them 2 or 3 months to get through this, anticipating the shutdown and the recovery, and then amortize that rent relief into the future of the lease, maybe from January on. So I think if we see that structure continuing, there might be some blending and extending, as we say. So some of the lease rates might get, you know, preserved, but they get some rent relief, or they might get a whole new lease structure, you know, which is very helpful to retail. You know, Gary also has had some experience with some retail clients, and a lot of the newer deals that were set to open have gotten the relief on the commencement dates. I think with office, it's just more of a commodity, and you know, as people went back to work, trying to figure out the big trend was going to be, you know, can you work from home? And there's been a lot of talk about that. I think we figured out how easy or not easy it is to work from home and transfer those jobs back. You know, if you're not in the service industry, it probably is a lot easier, I would say. But I don't know. The jury's out if it's, you know, 10% or 25% of the people that can remain at home working, but maybe in that range.
Hey, I got a question, if I may, for David G. With the companies that were successful with the telecommuting, do you see a complete shift in the need for office space if they do permanently adopt some of those strategies that they were forced to perfect?
Well, we hope not 100%, right? But, you know, I think what we saw was, you know, the trend had been for the last 3, 4, 5 years as WeWork and some of the spaces become more modernized. It was all about co-working and sharing. And it's just ironic how far it got so fast to try and attract the millennials and the younger working generation to be able to get them in the office and to be able to, you know, work the hours we wanted. And so we've done a 180. It's now they'd rather work at home. I think partly because they're told to be safe. And Max can maybe add to this, but with our WeWork seminar, that felt old-fashioned. That was just a month ago. And they were already talking about how they're going to work through it. Everybody wanted to collaborate and be in the same office and have no walls, share desks. I mean, literally, you could come in a hotel on a desk where, you know, you'd be at a different desk every day. So we're hoping some of the traditional ways will come back where, you know, people want to have a 6-foot office or a 6-foot, what do they call it? A 6-foot area, the distancing. They're kind of implementing that into a traditional office where that would be a small office, but as a workspace, that's a lot bigger than what we were seeing. Before it was like, you know, just a desk with a computer. So, Max, what do we from anything else from the WeWork and the collaboration and with Olin?
You know, what I got away from the conversation with Matt at WeWork was, you know, we're social people and you know, we're effective now working from home, but eventually we're going to want to get out of the house and hang out with our coworkers. So, you know, if your company just totally abandons their office space, then there's even more of an argument for co-working because they can lease out a space on a day-by-day basis for the one guy that wants to go into the office. So we might see a push towards that if companies totally abandon their big offices. And then for the companies that don't, you know, they're going to have to expand. They need to socially distance all of their employees. So they're going to need a lot bigger office spaces.
That's a good point. I tell my staff I'm coming in every day and they go, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you guys all for participating.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for coming along doing this.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Take care and be safe.
You too.
You too.
All right, you guys all take care.
We'll be in touch.
All right. Thank you guys.
Bye-bye.